Hello everybody, Baltmatrix here, and today we're taking a look at Transformers Studio Series number 54, 2007 movie Megatron. And his backdrop is that of the battle that occurred at Mission City. Literally had to look that up, I had no idea what the name of the city was, but it really does kind of look like Detroit or Chicago. Anyway, onto the figure. The figure itself is molded in primarily silver and this weird gunmetal gray. It is a very striking looking figure that is very similar to Soundwave. I'll show you a comparison here in a second. And it looks like just a giant collection of knives. Its two-toned color scheme is really annoying to me, but it's Megatron, so that's kind of the way he looked in the movie, so I'll forgive it. Now, the one thing you will notice is that his feet, or the back bottom of his legs from the knees down, are super chunky compared to the rest of the robot mode. There's a reason for that. That's where the wings are stored for his alt mode. It's really a very interesting transformation, which we'll get into here in a little bit. Head sculpt is quite good, though it is a little bit odd. I feel like it's a little bit too wide for the original Megatron design. Eyes are blood red, which I like quite a bit, though when you turn the head around, or you turn the entire figure around, you can see that the chunk on the head is just really strange. From the front on, it's fine. I think it looks great. But then you look at it from the side and it looks really, really dumb. Not to mention it feels really hollow. It's like a giant Mardi Gras mask. Now, normally I wouldn't show you the back of the figure, but I actually do want to show you the back on this one, simply because of all the detailing and the molding work going on back here. I love the look of his back, simply because it looks like his wings are folded up back there, the spine, and it's just a really well molded figure. I really like the way this figure looks, as opposed to someone like Soundwave, who I love Soundwave, but I hate the color scheme. Now see, here's Soundwave and Megatron together. They have the exact same paint, or at least to my old man eyes they do. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, it just looks like they're father and son here. It's so strange. I don't think we've ever had two figures that are painted the exact same shades. Now, Mega Knives does come with one accessory, and that is this bolo, and it attaches into his... Well, it attaches into his wrist, but it doesn't look like he has wrists, does it? More on that in just a sec. The actual bolo does have some articulation here at the very top. The flail part can move around. I'm not sure if this is a bolo or a flail. I think it's a flail because a bolo you throw. Semantics aside, how you attach it, and you could do this on either one of the arms, is you take his very tippy fingers, fold them into the forearm, and then there is a slot just above the hinge for the forearm, or for the hand, that you slide it into, and there you go. That's all she wrote. And because my good buddy Evangelist needs this to feel alive, I present to you Dabatron! And because misery loves company, here's a murder of Megatron dabbing. Now, our little dab-off does give us a perfect opportunity to show you the scale at which we're working at here. Voyager class 2007 Megatron is the same size as ROTF Megatron, and is oddly the same size as DOTM Megatron with his legs properly scrunched down. Now, as you can see, Siege Megatron is a little bit shorter, so we'll put him off to the side, simply because we're talking about different lines here. Now, the one thing with DOTM Megatron that you have to remember is he's supposed to be squatted down like this, but if you extend his legs fully straight, he is going to be significantly taller by a few inches, though it's still not that much difference, as you can see. It's only maybe an entire half-inch worth of difference. Now, speaking of differences, or the lack thereof, the big thing that is going around the net right now are some of the parts sharing that's happening here. And yes, there are parts being shared, specifically the chest. These two chest pieces are exactly the same, just painted differently. Other than that, all the other parts are different. I haven't been able to find a single similar part, though I haven't been looking all that hard. So the backs are different, all the other leg pieces are different, all the hip hips might actually be the same. Okay, yeah, specifically, the chest and the hips are the only pieces that are shared. The heads are actually different. They are similar, but they are actually different. So the heads are painted differently, they are molded differently, they are similar in some of the look, but they are actually different. There are subtle differences that's, believe it or not, really hard to see when on camera as opposed to in person. There might be some design cues that are similar, but in person, they are different. Posability time. Head is on a ball joint, and there is actually another set of joints in here that's mainly for the transformation, but it does get you some extra posability. There is a swivel in the arm and a hinge for in and out movement, and it's really cool because part of the detailing disappears into the shoulder when you hinge it out. Swivel just above the elbow, 90-degree bend at the elbow, no hand articulation, but thankfully the hands are not super cheap plastic. They're actually pretty tough and not very flexible. There is no torso articulation due to the transformation. Hinge and swivel setup in the legs, they are actually very tight. The swivels going back and forth are incredibly tight, and the hinge is incredibly tight. Swivel just above the swivel in the thigh, over 90-degree bend at the knee, and there is ankle articulation in and out, but the feet are weird. We need to talk about the feet because the silver bits are largely decorative. The actual toe is this strut that comes out from the middle of the foot, and then the heel is articulated for forward and back, and thankfully they're tight because if these were loose, then the figure would really have some trouble standing up. So if you do pick up this figure, just be aware that the toes aren't actually the toes, but rather this weird plastic strut sticking out from inside of the middle of the foot. That is the actual toe. You can pull off some decent poses with Megatron, and you can also pull off the famous Jazz getting ripped in half look, though his fingers could use a little bit of dexterity for that. Alright, enough fooling around. Let's go ahead and get into the transformation. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, at Baltmatrix, you will know that I have already posted a couple of pictures showing you just how this figure unfolds, and a short little video. But we're going to run through the transformation fully here. Start off with, take the arms, point them forward, and fold the hands into the forearms, and then take the arms and just kind of put them down. Turn the figure around and pull the backpack open all the way. Then we can take the shoulders, and there is a little hinge just inside the shoulder that is that light gray piece next to the brownish piece. So pull it away and then kind of push and rotate the entire shoulder down 90 degrees. Do that on the other side as well, and they will kind of lock into place. Then we can take the shoulders and point the arms up like this. Next, take the arms, point them straight up, and then fold them almost all the way in. Then take the head, turn the head around 180 degrees, and fold the head up while getting everything pushed underneath the sections of the shoulders. So what you want is that little collar bone part underneath the pieces like that, and then the head resting on top. And that's the best way I've found to do it. Now, for the backpack. See, this is the nose cone. It's folded all the way up into the backpack, which is really smart. So to do it, first take the first joint and fold it out and lock it into place. Second joint, fold out and lock it into place. And then finally the tip, lock it into place. Then once the nose cone is all the way folded out, fold the backpack up, and there are these tiny little slots right there where the tip of my finger is that will peg into these pegs that are on the shoulders. And what's funny is you don't put the shoulders perfectly straight. You actually angle them, push the top down, and then slide the slots into place, and then bend the elbows so they are pointing straight. These do not hold together well at all, simply because I think the head is too big. The robot head is just a little bit too big, and it feels like it's hitting. And you're supposed to be able to slide these two pieces, these two little pegs, into these areas right here, but I've never been able to get it to work. So even when they're flush and you just push the head in just a bit and you don't get the collar stuck, it just doesn't work all that well. So the only other option I found is to push the head all the way in like that and then try and fold the... So now that the front of the jet mode is combined and all set up, and yes, it's still a little bit loosey-goosey, but that will be fixed by the rear part of the jet mode. So first thing we're going to do is come down to the legs and take the heels and fold them all the way up until they can't fold forward anymore. Then come to the inside of the legs, so split the legs open, and there's this metal or gray piece, gray or brownish gray piece coming off into the middle of the leg. You'll unpeg that and fold it towards the front of the shin. Then we can come into the inside of the leg and flip out the entirety of the wing. This whole section flips out. And then we come to the edge and flip out one fold, another fold, fold it out, and then come to the outside of the wing and flip out the edge of the wing. Flip the whole thing around and come to this piece here, fold it out, fold it up, flip out this little gray piece, and that little gray piece will connect to the inside of the wing like that. So like that. And then take the entire wing section and turn it 180 degrees towards the back of the figure, or the foot of the figure. So we'll do the same thing over here. Unpeg and flip forward. Take the entire wing section of the bottom of the leg and fold it out. Then fold out, fold up, fold out, flip out, slide up, flip the wing section out, fold the connector out, and then peg it onto the inside of the wing. And sometimes it's a little hard to see. Then fold the entire wing 180 degrees out towards the feet. Now for the weird part. We're not done yet. We want the entire leg to fold up, and it's going to peg into two different places. There's a spot just above the butt that has two little pegs sticking up. So those pegs will get pegged into this little peg hole right here inside the swivel of the ankle. And then that will just rest there. It's not a firm peg. It's just kind of loose. And then we fold the heel down, and the bottom of the heel has a peg hole that will peg into one of these pegs on the back of the robot mode. And just getting everything lined up, pushed forward, and pushed up into place does tend to unpeg the backpack. So up, get that pegged in, try and get the shoulder out of the way, and then fold it down, peg it into place, and I already moved things around a bit, like that, and then come to the back where the rear wings are, snap them together, and fold them back, and they will kind of not snap into place, but snugly hold into place. And then I like to come up to the front and fix whatever popped apart. And then just turn the forearms such that they are in the right position, and there we go. That is the jet mode. And it looks like a flying thing of knives. It's so stupid. Oh. But it is a jet, and it looks like a Cybertronian alien-type jet. One thing I do wish is that, some kind of landing gear of some sort flipped out. But there isn't. I can't help but like this. There's no peg hole or anything that I've been able to see that it could fit on a stand well anywhere. But I still like it. It's so stupid that I can't help but kind of love it. It's ugly. It's dumb, but at the same point, I wholeheartedly adore it. It's just one of those things. It's so bad, it's good. It's so stupid, but I love it. I absolutely love it. So this figure stand is the only one that I've been able to find that can even hold the figure, and even then the connection is tenuous at best. You could see it just wobbling around. but I kind of love it. I just love this alt mode. It's so dumb, but it works for me. So there's that. All in all, this figure is pretty good and has really surprised me. I was not expecting to like this guy at all, simply because I hated every other version of this figure that I've gotten my hands on. Now, I have not gotten a hold of the Masterpiece figure, and I have no plans to get a hold of the Masterpiece figure. I have no interest in that figure at all. But this I was totally willing to go in on simply because, well, one, it's cheaper, and two, I actually kind of like the robot mode, and three, I could probably transform it in a reasonable amount of time. So one thing when transforming the figure back that's really useful is there is a little peg here that the wings will snap into. If you don't snap it in there, then you won't be able to connect the little tail wing piece to the folded up wing. I'm just pleasantly surprised with this figure. It really has just shocked me and surprised me in all the right ways, in all the good ways. Because let's face it, some Studio Series figures haven't been great. I'm just putting that out there. That original ROTF Megatron is probably one of my least favorite figures, simply because the paint is awful and I do not like the transformation. These gray pieces do have a tendency to pop apart. It's no problem putting them back in. So, getting a Megatron from the original 2007 movie that's good and fun and neat is a pleasant surprise to me. It really is. So I picked this up over at Amazon. It should be available from my good friends over at BBTS any day now. Link is down in the description. Currently, at the time of this video, it is only a pre-order, but they should have that, or they should be filling that very, very shortly. So if you want, I would head over there to pick this figure up. As I said, it's way more fun than I thought it was going to be. And if you've been following me on Twitter, you know that that Evangelist and I have a little fun thing going. That was fun. So yeah, this figure is totally worth owning. As Studio Series figures go, it's probably my favorite Megatron next to the Dark of the Moon Megatron, who is already pretty awesome. Yeah, the Dark of the Moon Megatron was my favorite. Now it's 2007, and then this ugly thing, ROTF Megatron, was a distant third. I'm really curious to see what they do for a Galvatron. That's going to be really interesting, and I suspect there will be a Last Night version, but the Last Night Voyager class figure was already perfect, or is already perfect, so I don't think we need another. And yeah, I completely forgot that I had the Last Night Voyager class Megatron still out. Whoops. Anyway, folks, let me know what you think of this figure down in the comments. Please be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and please be sure to hit the bell so you know when a new video is out. Also, please consider following me on Patreon.com. Your monthly financial contributions is going to enable me to keep doing this every month and from 2020 on forward. Thank you so much for watching. I have been Baltmatrix, and I will dab you next time.